Contrary to your beliefs, I do not make $500,000 a year as a Ford technician. So me being very driven to make money, I've found other ways of doing that than my 8 to 5, such as side jobs and even this YouTube channel. One of my favorite ways to put cold, hard cash right in my pocket is by flipping cars. So I want to share everything that I have learned about how to make money buying, fixing, and selling cars. So what's going on, YouTube? If you're new here to the channel, my name's Mason. I'm a senior master tech with Ford. I work for a Ford dealership, and if you've watched any of my other content, you know that this is a little bit different for me. This is the start of a new series that I've been wanting to do about how to buy, sell, and flip cars. Make money doing it. So if you enjoy the content today, make sure that you go down there and hit that like button for me. It really helps me out. Also, if you haven't already, make sure that you are subscribed so that you don't miss out on all the upcoming stuff I have coming out. Also, I want to know what kind of cars you have flipped, what kind of deals have you made, what kind of money have you made flipping cars in the past. Let me know down in the comments. I'd love to hear from some of you guys. So like I said earlier, this is the start of a new series I'm gonna do about flipping cars. I hope to have bought and sold at least one car every month to 2 months, hopefully maybe even a little sooner, so I can keep these videos rolling. So for every sale of a new car, we're gonna do a new video about where I found it, how I found it, what I had to fix, and the most important thing, how much money did I make off flipping that car. So make sure you're staying on the lookout for the new videos when they come out. How did I make $1,800 flipping this Ford Focus? Let me start by telling you where I found this car and how I find the majority of the cars that I buy. Yep, you guessed it, good old Facebook Marketplace. It's not necessary to scour the deep dark web to find good deals on cars. Facebook Marketplace is what I've found to be the best place to start looking and to shop for used cars. Now I agree that the majority of the advertisements you're going to see on Facebook Marketplace are either A, way overpriced, or B, they're just flat out pieces of junk. But if you do your due diligence, you spend an hour or so a day looking on Facebook Marketplace, you will find good deals in your area. They are out there. When you find them though, you have to jump, because if you don't, somebody else will. It happens every time. I find a super good deal on something before I can even make it there, somebody else has beaten me to it. So when you find these good deals, you've really got to jump on top of them right then. So I was scouring Facebook Marketplace one day and I happened to run across an advertisement for a 2013 Ford Focus with 120,000 miles that the title read Mechanic Special. So I thought to myself, I said, hey, I know a mechanic and I bet he would really like a special. They had this car listed for $3,500, which is about half of what it's actually worth. The description read transmission problems, which was right up my alley. If you guys watched any of my other videos, you know that I do a lot of transmission work. So this is right up my alley. Now, as a general rule of thumb, I only try to buy cars that I'm very familiar with. And at the very least, I try to make sure that I do my research on the common problems that the make and model has for what I'm going to look at, so that way, when I go look at it, I'll know the things to really watch out for, no matter what it is, BMW, Jaguar, or just a good old Ford or Chevrolet. So needless to say, I am very familiar with the DPS6 transmission that comes in this Ford Focus. I've probably worked on, I want to say thousands, but I know that's probably not realistic. I've probably worked on 300 to 400 of these transmissions just over the last 4 or 5 years of being in this business. So because I've worked on so many of these transmissions, I know that 90% of the time the issue with the car is that the transmission is shuddering, and the component causing that is the clutch. Since I work here at the dealer, I know that this DPS6 clutch costs about $400 and I can install it in 3 or 4 hours. So who really cares about the transmission problem? So before I set out to go look at this car, this is where I may have a leg up on a lot of you that maybe are thinking about getting into flipping cars or buying, fixing, selling cars, whatever. You're thinking about getting into it. This is where I might have a little bit of a leg up on you. Being I work at the dealer, I can walk up front to our sales department and run a Carfax on any VIN. As long as I have the VIN number, I can run a Carfax on that car. So of course I did go run a Carfax on this car, and I found out this car was actually first sold to a lady in Missouri, which is a long ways from South Alabama here. This car had been one owner for its entire life from 2013 up until about 6 months before, where it was sold at auction. I'm assuming the lady traded the car in, and it got sent to auction and somehow got shuffled around down to where it's at now. But there weren't any other owners in between her and the person who had it now. So if you're thinking about getting into flipping cars, I would recommend either getting a Carfax account where you can run as many VINs as you want, or maybe just go befriend somebody at a used car lot or a dealership, or somebody who has access to a Carfax. That would really help, because the main thing that you're looking for on a Carfax is you don't want to see any flood damage, you don't want to see any major damage from crashes or wrecks, and you don't want to see any kind of lemon law or big time things that happen about buybacks or anything when the car was new. You just really don't want to see any of those things. So it's a really good idea to run the Carfax even before you contact the seller. That is, if you can get the VIN. I also ran the warranty history on this car just to get a general idea of what kind of maintenance and things that had been done to the car. I looked over all the warranty history and it was in really good condition. It looked like the lady had a pretty good relationship with her dealer, because there was quite a lot of warranty repairs that were done on the car, around when it was new. So I felt pretty good about how well the car had been taken care of up until this point. So I decided to reach out to the seller. So I got my phone out, I gave him a ring to get the lowdown on this Focus. To my surprise, the seller of this car was actually a used car lot about an hour from where I live. Now, I usually don't deal with car lots just because the majority of the time they ask way too much for stuff. They want retail. They don't do much wholesaling with the public. Me, being I don't have a license, like a dealer license, where I can wholesale buy cars without paying fees and title fees and all that crap. I don't have one of those licenses, so I usually don't deal with small car dealers or bigger dealers or whatever. But in this case, the car was just so cheaply priced that I went on and pursued it after learning that it was at a used car lot. So I was talking with the salesman, and he told me that they actually sold the car to a lady who brought it back a few days later, saying that it had transmission problems. Apparently they worked out some kind of deal where they just swapped the car for another car they had on the lot that the lady liked, to appease her and get her off their back, I guess. But now they were stuck with this Focus that had these transmission problems. So what they were basically trying to do with the car is they were trying to wholesale the car outright without having to send it back to a local auction. That way they didn't have to pay the auction fees, because even though they could probably get $300 to $3,500 for it out of auction, I think it's around 15% of that has to go to the auction, or maybe it's not quite that much, it's 5 or 10, I don't know what the number is, but a certain percentage of that is going to go to the auction. So they're probably going to lose money just from buying the car from the auction and then having to send it back through the auction. Even though they could get the same price, they're still losing on both ends there because of fees and other things that they have to pay. So what they were looking to do is find somebody exactly like me that was real familiar with a car. They could just wholesale it to somebody with them knowing that it had the transmission problem. All of this sounded good to me, so only being an hour away, I struck out to go take a look at the car. So I get there, and when I get there, I actually realized just how small this small dealer was. I mean, they probably had less than 6 cars on the entire lot. Very small. It was actually the guy that owned it, and his son was a salesman that I had been talking to. These were the only employees at the car dealership. They were very nice. So I got out to go look at the car, and overall it was in very good shape. The paint was not faded. There was very few scratches. Couple dents and dings here and there, but nothing to be unexpected. It wasn't something that I wasn't expecting, being the car was 7 or 8 years old. So I've actually been working on comprising a used car inspection buyer's guide, a guide for you guys that are buying used cars to follow and go by, and that way you just know that you check everything. I have not gotten this done. This is going to be in a video format and probably in a PDF format for you guys. So if there's not a video up here, or there's a link in the description, I haven't gotten to it yet. Check back in a few weeks. Hopefully I will have that out for you. I've been working very hard trying to get some more content and things like that out for you guys. So it is to come in the future. So everything really looked great with the car. The interior was nice, the exterior looked perfect, it had good tires on it, the brakes looked good, all the fluid looked good, the oil, everything looked good. Under the engine was relatively clean for a car that had been sitting there for a month or two. Everything really looked good. The one thing I did notice was that the check engine light was on, so I luckily had brought my laptop with me, so I asked them if I could hook up and pull the codes on it. They said, sure, go ahead. So I pulled the codes on it. So all the codes that were in it were related to the transmission problem, which I wasn't worried about in the first place anyways. So that was a really good sign that it didn't have some kind of other engine issue causing the check engine light to be on. AC works, radio works, everything works. So I go back inside to talk to the salesman after a great deal of haggling with this guy, because they had it advertised for $3,500, but they really wanted $3,500 for the car, plus taxes, tags, titles, dock fee. And it's like, dock fee's like $600. I was absolutely refused to pay that. I was not paying any fees. I brought $3,500 with me. That was all I was willing to spend. So basically we just had a hash out, and I left with the car for $3,500. So I got the car for $3,500. That was including taxes, tags, and title fee. That was everything. They worked it into the deal. I don't know how they did it, but I was happy that I got the car for $3,500. I was really hoping to even get it a little bit cheaper, just because I really like to drive a hard bargain and get a really good deal on a car. That way I have a lot more profit to play with on the back end. But $3,500 for this car that the Kelley Blue Book or NADA owned was around $6,800, $7,000. Wasn't bad, I felt like, especially for a car that I was able to get in, turnkey, and drive home. Now on the way home, I felt absolutely no transmission issues. I'm not real sure what they were talking about. I never even felt the issue with the car. It drove perfect to me. So that was a really good sign. So I got the car home. I started diagnosing the transmission problem, and after a few hours of testing and checking just to be completely sure before I spent any of my own money, I came to the conclusion that the issue was being caused by the transmission control module, which is also a very common problem on these Focuses. Now this is where I got really lucky. Since I work for Ford, I know that the TCM on these Focuses actually has a recall extending the warranty from the base 60,000 mile powertrain coverage out to 150,000 miles. Now since this car only had 120,000 miles on it, it was still in the warranty of the extension that came with the recall. So check this. Not only did I get a $500 transmission control module for free, not only that, Ford paid me, because I work here at the Ford dealer, Ford paid me money to install that part on the car. So basically I got a free part, and I got paid for installing that part onto my own car. You know, crazy, right? So already this car is making us money. I'm very happy. I'm very excited about getting this deal on this car. So I got the TCM put on, and bam, everything working fine. Check engine light goes away, codes are cleared, everything is working great. Now since the dealer made me pay those taxes, tags, and titles fees, I know I really tried to get out of them, but I guess it's actually the law that you have to pay those things when you buy a car. I had actually already paid to get a tag for this car, so I went to the courthouse or the DMV and got my tag, and I put it on the car, and I actually drove this car for a few weeks back and forth to work, especially just because I knew it had been sitting for a few months at the dealer, at this little used car lot, and I just wanted to make sure that everything was good with the car. So I drove it back and forth to work for about 3 weeks. So usually this would be the point where I would take some pictures of the car and I would post it back up for sale on Facebook Marketplace, except this time it would not be a mechanic special and it would be full retail price. So there's a number of things that you can do in a Facebook ad to make yours stand out better than everybody else's. So like I talked about earlier, I'm going to make a video specific to how to make Facebook ads so that you can get top dollar for your car. That'll probably actually be the exact title for my video, but I haven't gotten to making that yet. I'm making this one first. I probably should have made them first, I guess, but they will be coming out in the next few months. So check back here if you're watching this now. Check if it's not up here, it's gonna be in the description. Also probably gonna do a PDF format so that you can take that format and copy and paste it directly into your Facebook app. That way you just basically won't have to type out as much and come up with as much things right off the top of your head. So be looking out for that in the next few months. I didn't actually list this car on Facebook after I got everything fixed. The reason I didn't list it on Facebook is because I actually had a family member that was in need of some wheels. They really needed some wheels right that second. If I would have listed this car for sale on Facebook, I probably would have listed it for $7,000 and taken any offer down to around probably $6,000. So you may be asking yourself where I got these numbers from. Where did I get the $7,000 and $6,000 for them? I didn't pull them out of thin air. I didn't get them off Kelley Blue Book, and I didn't get them from NADA. All those are great resources to use, I guess, except the thin air one. All those are really great resources, but what I like doing personally, and I feel like this is a much better method, I like to go on the platform I'm using, which is Facebook. If it was Craigslist, I'd use Craigslist. I go on there and I research similar makes and models that are being sold around my area. So I go in there and I look at what those prices are and I compare those prices together to get an average or a roundabout average of what these cars are actually selling for in the market, which I guess is kind of the same thing that Kelley Blue Book and NADA does, but I just feel like this is much more accurate to what you're actually going to be able to sell something for. Go on Facebook, type in 2013 Ford Focus, see what pops up, see what kind of condition they're in. Is they better, worse than yours, and compare to come up with a number that you think is reasonable for both parties. So this is the best way I've found to get a actual real life value for a vehicle and not just wishful thinking. If I need to move a car fast, I'll even ask 80% of the average sale price on Facebook for it, as long as I'm not taking a loss, and that's just to move something really fast. If you ask 80% of what something's worth, people are gonna be jumping up and down trying to hand you money for whatever item that is. That's just the way of the world. Just like I just said, I like to be reasonable with people. I don't like screwing people over, but at the end of the day, I'm doing this to make money. I'm doing this to make a profit. So I try to get to a point where I'm happy with something and the other party is happy with it as well. So since I'm a nice guy and I was already profiting $1,800 off this deal and the transmission was fixed on Ford's dime, I decided to let this car go to a close family member for $5,400, which was right in between the range I felt like of what the car was worth and what I paid for the car, which I felt was very reasonable for both sides. So not too bad for a 2-week flip that netted us $1,800 and only cost us $3,500 initial investment. I'd say that is a pretty good flip. That is how I made $1,800 flipping this Ford Focus. On to the next flip, and hopefully this time we're gonna have a little more cash to spend, so we might get something a little bit nicer than the Ford Focus. All right guys, so that's going to wrap up this video. I really hope you enjoyed this new kind of content that we're gonna be putting out here. It's gonna be a little bit different from what I've been doing, but I hope all you guys enjoyed. If you hadn't already, make sure that you go hit that subscribe button with the bell notification ring so you don't miss out. That way you can be notified when I come on here. You need to know right then so you can come on here and watch it immediately. You don't wanna waste no time there. Make sure you hit that like button, especially if you like the video. And don't forget to let me know down in the comments what kind of cars you flipped, how much money you've made off of them, and just your general experiences with dealing with the public and trying to sell used vehicles. Always, thanks for watching guys, and peace out. I'll see y'all in the next one.